Hey, how you doing? This is SEIJIHITO here to bring you another live during the afternoon. And again, for a great deal of the many of the videos that will be shown, I will have those uploaded in a shorter video format, just in case people don't want to sit through 1, 2, maybe even potentially 3 hours of me just yammering. So, as the title basically states, Native Americans want to talk about Black Americans. It's actually supposed to be titled now. Let me see if I can go in and actually fix that. So yeah, I find it a little bit weird now that now you have everybody jumping on the bandwagon, wanting to state specific things about Black Americans, and this person stated that they are a Native American themselves, and they have quite a few words for Black Americans. So let's get into it.
You guys, they're saying we're learning from them. We've been Indian our whole lives. You've been Indian since you downloaded TikTok. The fuck? They get our information and then they twist it and try to blackwash it. I'm here to correct all that. Y'all are not the Indians. Y'all are not indigenous from here. I actually don't know where the fuck you guys are from, but y'all weren't here with us. We have treaties with the people that came here and even the tribes that were here. How come y'all don't have a treaty with us? If you were here, how come you guys don't have clans? How come you guys don't have a clan? Everybody has a clan. It's either animal, plant, or bird that's indigenous to the Americas. How come you guys don't have that? How come y'all don't know the language? Any language? How come you speak AAVE, African American Vernacular English, slang or whatever, right? Because it comes from Africa, Ibu. It's got Ebonics in it. Right? You guys are from there. Take a DNA test, yo. Take a DNA test.
Right. So that was from a so-called Native American. And even with now, this is a few things here, right? He wanted to state that Black Americans became Native American when TikTok was invented. This is the most dumbest and foolish thing I've ever heard in my life. This basically shows to you that a lot of people don't happen to read books. They don't even look into any type of history. So you never heard of Black people and quote unquote, as you would say, natives working together. You never heard of quote unquote, the Black Americans here within the quote unquote native tribes and so on and so on and so on. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird. And then you want to state that you don't know where we came from, but yet you're telling us what AAVE is and where that quote unquote originated from and all of those great things, but yet you don't know where we came from. Huh? So we're just foregoing all of the history in the United States. Like you didn't read of any of that? That's right. That's right. I forgot. Because a long time ago, the white man came through, aka the government, directly from Europe. And a variety of things took place, happened, smallpox this, smallpox that, smallpox with a blanket, quote unquote, the Trail of a Thousand Tears, and you guys are just set off and thrown on reservations, right? Where a lot of you guys are drug addicts and alcoholics and, you know, water and different things like that, aren't, what they should be, even though you do have your own land, even though you are segregated off from the rest of the populace in the United States. And I'm somehow, some way supposed to take your word dealing with history, and you couldn't even explain any of what it is that you were stating. You were like, how come you guys don't have, treaties with us and yada 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 and all this other, type of stuff. Well, how come there's not a lot more of your people here? And why is it that your people are also, in some instances, getting deported if you are supposed to be the quote unquote natives who have treaties and contracts with the United States government? That doesn't make any type of sense. Doesn't make any type of sense at all. How could Native Americans, people who are originally here, how could you be deported with the rest of the immigrants or get caught up in those sweeps? It doesn't make any type of sense. How could the United States government make such a diabolical mistake? So let's see what we got here. We got the Africans, we got those from the islands, we got some of those from South America, and now we got the Native Americans all trying to specifically get at Black Americans and tell us who it is that we are, who it is that we're not. And we're going to get deported. You're not original to this and that. And it's amazing work. And I keep trying to tell people, when you have a lot of other people who quote unquote don't know you specifically, and they're trying to use all these types of words, and they're specifically trying to come at you and attack you, they know something. All of those groups of people who are seemingly have problems with one another for one reason or another all come together, are all in cahoots with trying to tell Black Americans what it is that they are, what your language is, what your culture is, all this other type of. They know something. They obviously know something. Something is obviously happening. Something is obviously about to take place, and people not paying attention. But the other thing I want to say is, it's funny how this guy is quote unquote Native American. I'm just looking at the way that he's dressing. Again, anybody that keeps telling me that they're Native, I'm like, yo, where's your Native garb? Right? When he's talking, right? Because he was trying to tell us about Black Ebonics and all this other type of. I'm hearing straight English, very clear English. But I'm looking at him and it looked like he's kind of from the West Coast, you know, circa the 90s. Looking at the hat, looking at the shirt. Okay. All right, but you're Native. No problem. You got contracts. Okay. We'll see what happens when your time is up. We'll see what will be happening. But let's go to this Black woman to see what she has to state.
Just doing my little scrolling and judging. Y'all know me. And I've been seeing a lot of videos regarding Native Americans and how some of them are being deported. I seen one video where they found 4 illegal immigrants posing as Native Americans being deported to Mexico. And I'm noticing that even in some of the videos I've seen, that there are Native Americans talking crazy about Black people. And because now that I'm thinking, if Native Americans were the first to be here, right? Where were they when slavery took place? Because the first roundup of slaves didn't get to America until the 1600s, okay? Slavery ended in the 1800s. The Trail of Tears happened in 1830. I find it kind of odd that these colonizers would go all the way across the world to bring a whole group of people to a land that they are unaware of. They don't know anything about the agriculture here. They are unfamiliar with the weather. They have to relearn and retrain them on how to maintain the crops of that land when they already have a group of people here that they have just pretty much taken their land over. Because usually in history, when a land has been colonized or taken over by other people from another country, they usually enslave the people of that land who were there first. They don't just take that land and then just set those people aside who were originally there and then take a trip that probably took months just to go bring a whole group of new people over and retrain them on how to maintain the land. That doesn't even make a bit of sense. Then, even when it comes to the 14th Amendment, it excluded Native Americans at first. Oh, seriously, the math ain't math. Slavery ended in the United States in 1865. Indian Removal Act, that was passed in 1830. Well, Indians didn't really lose their land until like the late 18th century, early 1900s. And even still, Native Americans weren't considered United States citizens until they passed the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. So if Native Americans were the first people, why did they have to go through all of this shit to be considered citizens? Y'all wasn't even considered citizens until 1924, which means y'all didn't even get the rights to be considered citizens until after people who were brought from a whole nother country went through chattel slavery. Y'all didn't get y'all rights until after them. So
one good thing that she brought up, right? So she said that, all right, you think about slavery, you think about the ships and everything, right? So you brought some people here, right? You trained them because originally Europeans didn't know anything about this land, right? So the native people, quote unquote, we're just going to list them as invisible people at this moment in time, right? So the native people saw the Europeans, crashed ashore, saved them, taught them everything they knew about the land. Then the Europeans, in return, slew the natives and claimed the land for themselves, along with the branding of being American and native, correct? AKA $5 Indians, dolls, rolls, all this other type of good stuff. So now the new Americans decided, okay, we need some workers directly for this land, so let's start up some slavery, right? So we're gonna make and create these boats now, since we know everything about the land and how to do stuff, and we're gonna start, shipping people, back and forth, right? So they had the first go around of getting some people directly from Africa, right, going to and then going from, and then they brought them here, and then they were like, all right, we're going to basically train you on how to basically dilly and dally with the land while we're off doing lazy work, doing whatever it is that we want to do because we're the kings of this land, right? You are now our slaves, you are our workers, you work here for free. So then once they had those workers, they were like, man, all right, this obviously is going to be enough. We're going to need some more workers. So we're going to build some more boats, and then we're going to go right back to Africa, and then we're going to ship right back again. So you mean to tell me that you made this back and forth trip getting brand new people, and you continuously have to retrain and retrain and retrain and retrain and retrain time and time again? Because again, Africans are not going to know how to do anything on this land because they're not from this land. Over there in Africa, they don't have all of these different seasons. They're not, dealing with winter. Let's just get that straight. They are not dealing with winter. They're not dealing with fall as we have it in North America, right? Everything is, pretty much a warm climate, right? Everything is able to grow. Everything is able to flourish. No problems, right? But here in North America, you have to not only learn the crops, you not only have to learn the land, you not only have to learn the, weather. Again, there's a lot of things to get used to and that you would have to do, but you have to continuously do this back and forth. That sounds awfully costly, very costly. And then on top of that, to think about that, who was footing the bill on that? Because I'm pretty sure that's a lot of money to make a lot of those boats, right? To get a lot of those chains and those collars that they would have to use. And then not to mention on the back and forth trip, you would also have people that would perish along the way, right? So again, you're losing money on top of making this trip. And then on top of making this trip and having people perish because of how quote unquote cramped a lot of these ships were, body to body, shoulder to shoulder, feet to feet, head to head. You had a lot of, excrement that was taking place, which means that nobody was going below the ship to clean any of these things, which means that diseases would be running rampant, which means then again, you would also be passing over cargo to other cargo, which would inevitably be sick. And this is how diseases and different things like that can, again, a lot of things don't make sense. A lot of things don't make sense. And I'm pretty sure they weren't trying to inoculate people during that time, when it dealt with a variety of ailments and things of that nature, given the conditions that the quote unquote African slaves had to deal with and go through, right? Again, it's a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. Still doesn't make sense. Still to this day. Just saying. I don't know. But let's go to a video showcasing the gods are clearly falling. And because they're falling, they're wanting to go after their believers, their followers.
What else?
Got it?
What else?
Trump is doing good things. You guys people.
Yeah.
You guys people.
Right?
Take your $50 and suck. Give me give my change. I'm rich, you're poor. Difference.
You're poor of soul.
Yep, poor.
You're poor of soul.
Dá a chave dela, deixa a chave dela, deixa eu.
Não, joga o carro dela lá naquela lugar.
Bitch, wanna report me? Shut the up. I didn't touch you. Shut the fuck up. Give me my keys.
You just give her.
Get the out my. I'm really tired of the DMs and the comments I left my house yesterday in PJs, as you can tell, looking crazy. And when I was walking out of a scrub, the valet guy grabbed my and I should have just punched him. I was thinking about my child and not wanting to go to jail. So I lashed out and I called him a wetback. And I'm so wrong for that, but I felt so violated. I should have just shut my mouth, called the police, and that's it. So basically, I'm explaining to everybody, I am sorry for what I said. I've been around Mexicans, dated Mexicans my whole life. My parents are immigrants. I am the farthest thing from racist possible. So crazy how sickening the internet is. I've explained so many times, I'm the farthest thing from racist possible. I've had nothing but Mexican, Spanish boyfriends. Majority of my friends are Black and Hispanic. I'm Ukrainian. Why would I ever lie about what somebody did? Why would I freak out on a valet like that if nothing occurred? I should have called the cops, like I said. You guys, like, honestly, like, have a little bit of, like, you know, brain power to understand the internet is a very vicious place, and all people are doing is sitting here and, oh, she's racist. I'm the farthest thing from racist possible. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense. I was upset and I lost my shit. It happens to the best of us. Why don't you guys call people like my housekeepers who I got their papers for them, and how many people I've helped from different races and so on and so forth. It's just the internet feeds you guys and it sucks you guys, and it's so sad. It literally, it's such a disgusting place. Like, I don't know how you guys have the time or the patience. If I'm going on here explaining myself, at least be like, you know what? This girl is really explaining herself. Like, I love Mexicans. I love Asian people. I love Russians. I love Jews. I love Muslims. Like, I've never in my life, why would someone like me ever be racist? What I said about Trump, my parents are Ukrainian immigrants. I was angry. I felt like I just was violated. Like, I felt violated. So my mouth opens. When I get mad, I say crazy shit. That's the honest to God truth. How much more real can I be? So there's nothing more I can do. I can't just keep making videos and having 100 people call me. I am deeply sorry. Like, I have learned my lesson to shut my mouth when I'm angry. When I'm angry, the craziest comes out of my mouth. And I've had this since I was a kid. I've learned my lesson. You hear my father, who speaks Russian, who's an immigrant, my whole life, I'm talking and apologizing on Instagram. I don't know how to control my anger when something that dramatic happens. And now I've learned, and I'm sorry to everybody. And I'm literally gonna do certain things to make this up to people. Everyone in life makes mistakes, and that was a mistake I made. So if I'm going on the internet, which I'm not famous, I don't do any of this weird stuff. If I'm sitting here and giving the real and really apologizing for what I said out of complete stupidity and anger, I don't even know what I said. That's the truth. So I was so lashed out and so angry. So my sincere apologies. You guys can sit here and be like, you this, you that, you white, you this, you that, like, whatever it is. Like, we're all human. We all make mistakes. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm really saying that I really made a huge mistake, and I'm taking responsibility. That's the most important part.
So we got an immigrant that decided, and you heard her father. Her father was over there speaking in his native language. You can obviously tell that he is first generation. He probably does not know a lick of English at all. If so, it is probably 1% English. And he's speaking, he can probably understand her, but can't really speak it. So he's speaking his language, right? You heard the deep voice, and you saw her basically respond directly to him, right? Then he stopped talking. She stated that she gets so angry, and this is a problem that she had her whole life. She gets so angry that she says stuff and she doesn't realize or understand what it is that she's saying. I want y'all to realize that let me just go back to the front part of the video, because I had to edit this, right? Let me just go back, take that off of full screen. Let me play that again. One.
What else?
Got it?
What else?
Trump is doing good things. You guys people.
Sorry?
Yeah.
You guys people.
Right?
Take your $50 and suck. Give me my change. I'm rich, you're poor. Difference.
You're
And
poor soul.
she don't know what she's saying.
You're poor soul.
Dá a chave dela, deixa a chave dela, deixa eu ver.
Remember, she said she don't know what she's doing here because she's so angry.
I didn't touch you. Shut the fuck up. Give me my keys.
You just give her.
Get the fuck out my. I'm really tired of the DMs and the comments. I left.
So just remember that. She said that she was so angry that she can't understand or realize what it is that she did. I'm literally watching the video and seeing her take the time to both say things, think about it, and before it comes out, still think about it, and still decides to state it. She was stating the most slurs and the most negative things that she can think of directly to those people because she was quote unquote angry. Again, this is what liars like to do. They think that people aren't going to go back and analyze a lot of these things. If you go back and analyze it and just think about the amount of seconds that it took for her to think it and then speak it and then walk, take some more time before somebody says something and for her to think about something and then say it again, you can tell that she knew exactly 100% what it is that she was stating. She is a straight liar. This is exactly why every single time they show up online, they're like, "Oh, I'm not really this type of person. I'm not even an internet person. I'm not even really famous." But you made sure to tell the valet that they were poor and you were rich. Why would you do that? Why are you trying to shame them for doing a job that realistically you should actually be able to do? The valet's job is actually making you being able to park a lot more easy, because if the valet wasn't there, you would have to park somewhere on the street in probably an unsafe area, right? And then you would have to deal with all types of other unsavory characters and all of this other type of stuff, but yet you want to shame somebody for doing a normal everyday job. And this is again why it is that a lot of people have a problem with the rich, because they feel entitled. They feel as though that everybody below them is unworthy, that they can just walk all over them and disrespect them. Again, even in the video, she threw money directly at the valet, was like, "Here, take the 50, give me my change," yada yada yada. That's crazy. You throwing money at folks? You really think that you're that type of person? As I stated to a lot of people before, let a EMP drop. All of these people that's quote unquote rich, they're going down to zero. Let an EMP drop and the whole power grid in the United States goes out. Let's see if a lot of these people are still rich. Let's see if a lot of these people are still going to be able to run their mouth and talk the exact same way. They won't. They can't. Because even whatever little bit of money that they have left on stock is still not going to be enough, because it is going to run out in a matter of time. And it's crazy to see somebody that's an immigrant disrespect other immigrants, while at the same time stating that, "Hey, I love all people. I love this, that, the third." Listed all these other people, but the main thing that she forgot to list when she was stating that she loved all people, she didn't say nothing about black people. She listed all of these other groups directly out here. But she magically, I guess she was mad when she was talking about, all the people that she loved. She made sure to leave black people directly out of that love part. Interesting. But she was like, "Hey, I had black this, I had a Mexican or Latin this." I'm like, what does that mean? So you slept with these men. That doesn't make you any less racist. You might have, slept with them just to, get your rocks off, and because of, a type of fetish that you may have. Okay, cool, great. But you can still be racist. Slave masters and whatnot did the exact same thing. So what does that mean? So what does that mean? And then on top of that, you're from Europe, literally from Europe, you and your dad, and you got the nerve to try to be racist. You need to get deported as well. I don't care how much money you got. You need to get deported as well. That's some diabolical work, but we all know that the Europeans aren't going to get deported. We all know this. I just want people to understand this and keep that directly in mind. European immigrants are not going to be the first ones getting deported. They may be last on the chopping block, potentially, maybe, but they're not going to be first, second, or third, right? But let's continue.
And if you think that the black community isn't next, if you think that they're not coming for black people next, you clearly do not know America. You do not know America. If you actually think that they are able to round people up and they're not going to find an excuse to hit the black communities, they're going to be like, "Yeah, there's illegals over there too. if you think that they're actually going to be trying to differentiate between who's an American citizen and who's not, and they're not going to go based on color of skin, because that's what they're doing to the Mexicans. And guess what? They're coming for us next. They're definitely coming for the colored community next. Definitely. It's always going to turn around to the colored community.
I want to know whose lost child is this? I just want to know, because the amount of stupid confidence that she just gave off made no type of sense. That's somebody that is void of any type of history or knowledge dealing with the United States of America at all. I just need to. This is what a lot of Black Americans keep trying to tell people. Stop trying to put us into this whole battle and this fight. Like I said, a lot of us are tired. A lot of us have lost people during the generations. A lot of us have had, grandfathers, grandmothers, and so on and so on, that went through the civil rights, that went through segregation, all of these things. And now, after all of that taking place, and we get to see all of the ungrateful people that did not help us fight anything, or that weren't there, that didn't lose as much as we lost. Now they want to, speak up and say all of this other type of stuff against Black Americans. And now y'all decide to sit up there and vote for somebody where y'all thought it was a joke. Y'all thought it was a game. And now you got to pay the piper. And now you want to turn around and be like, hey, well, Black people, because you don't care and you don't want to sit up there and fight with us and help us out. Guess what? You're next. No. We were always first. We out of every other group in the United States, Black people have always had the most problems with the United States and the government. Nobody else. I'll wait. Show me the other people, because we got the redlining, we got the jail prison industry, right? Even when it deals with schools, a lot of these schools, the teachers, they want to sit up there and say that our kids are ADHD and hyper attention disorder, all this other type of stuff. They want to try to give them all of these psychotropics, all of these drugs to quote unquote calm them down. Really, they're just getting kickbacks, and they're using our kids in the Black community as test subjects. But in order to do that, they want to give a type of excuse in order to drug them up, on top of the medical malpractice that takes place, on top of the fact of the police and how it is that they treat Black people in their own communities, not even just outside of the community, but their own communities, and the things that we face there. On top of the fact of the issues that we have with the banks just trying to get a home loan, just trying to refinance, get a mortgage, all of those great things. On top of trying to open up businesses and just trying to live, just trying to survive. Nobody else, past, present, or future, has had the amount of difficulties and battles that Black Americans have had with the United States, with the system that is directly in place. And as we kept trying to tell people, we kept trying to warn people, we got to the point where, like, hey, we're done talking, we're stepping directly back. You guys got it. So now when you understand that the energy is not there, that we're not going to support, we're not going to help, now y'all want to try to do this fakery. Now y'all want to try to use these scare tactics in order to try to goad us into this battle and try to fear us, to try to control emotions. And this is why I told people previous live streams before, do not allow these people directly out here to try to captivate you, to try to ensnare you by way of your emotions. Use logic. Don't allow fear to override your logic, because that's what they're trying to do. Again, I don't know whose immigrant child this is, because you're like, hey, Black people within colored and then bicolored, and you're listening to all this. You're not saying nothing about Black Americans. You're not even trying to substantiate people that were here since a here was even here. You're not even saying nothing like that. You're lumping, quote unquote, Black people in with everybody else. You got people that are Jamaican here. You got people that are Nigerian, Kenyan. You got people that are Ethiopian. You got people that are South American. You got other people from the islands. You got other people from South America. And you're trying to lump Black people in with all of those people. That's not how this works. And they know it. And let's just put it to a reverse. If Black people at a moment in time, let's say all the immigrants that voted for Trump are completely fine, And then the Trump administration's main goal was like, hey, we're going to get rid of Black Americans. We're going to sit up there and deport all of you. Do you really think that all of these people talking right now would actually care if Black Americans were getting deported? No, they weren't. Do you think that they would be out there protesting? No, they wouldn't. Do you think that they would be using their powerful TikTok and YouTube platforms to speak out against it? No, they wouldn't. They would not care. Because the moment in time that they feel that we're not there, they're going to be partying. If you don't believe me, go back and look at some of the TikTok videos when America was banned. And look how it is that people were talking about, quote unquote, the Americans or the Black Americans when we were no longer on TikTok. Look how everybody wanted to take pop shots, and everybody was like, oh, the Americans are gone. Oh, now it's our come up. It's our time. We're about to sit up there and shine. We were only gone for about 14 plus hours. And y'all already out there acting like fools. And again, these are a lot of these immigrants. These are a lot of these people that are not Black American that wanted to come at us in a negative way because we were no longer on TikTok. Crazy work. But then y'all want to turn around and try to get Black Americans into this whole fight. And we tried to tell y'all, we tried to warn y'all, but y'all didn't want to listen. So it is what it is. You got to pay the piper. You got to deal with the consequences. Face up and stop running. Let's go to the next one.
Covering the immigration crackdown that's happening here in Georgia and across the country right now, some Caribbean and African immigrants are consulting with immigrant attorneys about their rights, immigration attorneys to talk about their rights following this weekend's targeted operations. Channel 2's Audrey Washington's live now at the Jamaican consulate in Sandy Springs in North Fulton County. Audrey, calls are pouring into the consulate there.
Right, you know, the calls are pouring in here to the Jamaican consulate, but I'm also told they're pouring into the Nigerian consulate not too far from here. I'm told that the immigrants and refugees reaching out are calling with the same concerns about whether they will be deported.
But they're very scared, you know, they're very concerned.
All weekend, those at different local Caribbean and African consulates and organizations fielded calls from concerned immigrants and refugees. Some of the questions:
how would they respond to me? What is the legal process to apprehend us?
President Donald Trump's mass deportation policy kicked into action over the past few days in cities across the country and right here in Metro Atlanta. ICE officials said they mostly rounded up accused illegal immigrants with criminal backgrounds. But some immigrants and refugees who are here legally said they're scared they might get deported.
You know, they don't know if going to work, they might not come back home.
Monday, I spoke with the head of the Jamaican consulate of
That's
Atlanta
tough.
and with the president of the Congolese community of Atlanta. Right now, there are about 8,000 people from the Congo living in Georgia. And for Jamaicans in our state,
500,000, but some of them came.
Hold on, one question. Hold on. Let me let me just get this straight, right? So what did he say for the Congolese? He said they got about like 8K down there in Atlanta, and then this lady, I think she said it's anywhere from half to about 1 million Jamaicans there. I just want to know how does this happen and take place? Because again, when it deals with this basically shows people how, let's see, welcoming Black Americans are, right? No matter how we get treated, no matter what people have to say, no matter how people take the culture and they want to say this, that, and the third about Black Americans and our culture, how we lack that and whatnot. Even with all of that being said, all of these people from other places decide to be in a Black Mecca. They still decide to live around these Black Americans. And that's a little bit weird to me. I would think that if people were coming, especially if you have, like 500,000 to 1 million, I would think that those people want to establish their own places separately, right? To further show like, hey, this is our culture. These are our beliefs. This is, our food. These are our traditions, right? Because the main thing any Black American can sit up there and tell you that when it comes with dealing with other people's families and whatnot, those families are not really too opening. Their kids will sit up there and specifically tell you that, hey, yeah, my parents don't really, want me, listening to, y'all music and, taking on a lot of the things and yada, yada, yada. Because at the end of the day, that's still their household, right? It's still going to be an African household a Jamaican household, whatnot, or whatever, they're going to make sure in that household that they are teaching and raising those kids differently than what Black Americans, how they will be raised and what takes place directly in their households, right? But even with that being separate, people still want to be together, which I find a little bit weird. And even within still trying to be together, you still want to find the negative or highlight the negative, and you want to talk down on Black Americans. That's a little bit weird. That seems like people are, in a sense, hiding in plain sight instead of being separate and standing directly on their own. It's a little bit weird. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Because as I stated before, you have a lot of people that want to masquerade as Black Americans and decide to commit and do a lot of things under that disguise while actually being who it is that they are. Like I said before, I gave you the story about the dude who a woman wanted to try to say like, oh, this Black American veteran, yada, yada, yada. The dude was native to Jamaica. He got to the United States when he was 13. So let's just make this, let's just understand this and identify it. You got a man that was born and raised in Jamaica up until around the age of 12. By the time he was 13, this is when he came to the United States and got naturalized by way of his father, who was already here. And then as he grew up, he decided instead of, doing the standard issue 9 to 5, getting a job, he wanted to sell drugs. So he was up there in New York, a Jamaican native up there in New York, wanting to sell drugs. In what community, guys? Do you think it was the Jewish? Do you think it was the Asian? Do you think it was the Jamaican? Do you think it was the Arab community, if they even got one directly up there? Do you think it was any other community? No, guys, it was more than likely he was selling those drugs to and within the Black community. Isn't that amazing? So he's from somewhere else and he decides to be around Black Americans, and then he wants to further add to the downfall by doing things that we know historically the United States government has allowed to take place and happen within Black communities. And then I'm supposed to feel sorry that he got caught up in ICE, or he got to, no, it's not the same. It's not the same. And this is why I keep trying to sit up there and tell people Black Americans do not have time for this. But let's continue.
Came here to school.
Well, the Congolese community, we have a lot of refugees because of the war.
Dede Tumba said the main concern is whether Trump will end the temporary protected status program that allows refugees to remain in the U.S. legally. But immigration attorney Joshua McCall told me
there's still the law and there's still the Constitution.
There are protections for immigrants and refugees.
To prepare all the documents that show that they are here, they've paid taxes, their criminal record, everything is clean.
And that immigration attorney told me it's important for people to keep their immigration paperwork in a safe place just in case they need it at short notice. And we are live here in Sandy.
And I want people to understand, if Black Americans were in a sense treated with a certain type of love and respect, right, and a type of value, I'm pretty sure a lot of these things that's happening to a lot of these immigrants right now, especially if you're from the islands or Africa, it would be vastly different, because we would be up there protesting. We would probably be out there marching. We would bring awareness to this to try to get this to stop. But because of the disrespect and the untold amounts of other things that people have said to us over the years, over the decades, Black Americans are like, hey, we're tired. Our super suits are lost at the cleaners. I don't got the receipt. I can't pick it up. So I got to sit this one out. You're on your own. And that's what people are looking at. That's what people are looking at. But let's continue.
A Black Caribbean woman that left a comment. She said, what you're saying, and this is the absolute truth. I'm from the Caribbean, and I didn't always embrace my Black American cousins, and I've had a lot of unlearning to do, and I now embrace the Black struggle as a whole. However, sometimes Black Americans do not, in turn, embrace me, and I want to speak to that. And this is not me downplaying the Black struggle, because we all have our struggles based on where we come from. I think we can all agree that the group of Black people who have had the hardest of times, right, particularly for us in America, have been Black Americans. Now, there was something that a Caribbean woman said, and she got cussed out. And she said that in the Caribbean, we got the ability to read and write sooner, and we got access to be able to take back our country and have Black countries, and Black Americans had to go through Jim Crow. So when you have a group of people like Black Americans who have experienced what they have experienced for hundreds of years, and then decades of Jim Crow discrimination and segregation filled with nothing but violence and lynchings, And then you come out of that. And then you go and advocate, not just for yourselves as black people, but for people who are not black. And other black people from throughout the diaspora to be able to come to this land, build the land of freedom. And then when you have a chance to advocate for yourself, you not only think about yourself, but you think about black people on other parts of the world. You think about Asians, you think about the Hispanics. You make sure in your civil rights bills, right? A bill designed to equal the playing field for you as black people in America. You do so and also include these other groups of people. And then these other groups of people come here and put their nose up towards you. And they do that for decades. We're asking a group of people who have experienced some of the worst, not just from the people who do not look like them, but from the people who look like them. And just because a few of us have gotten this.
Hold up. Let's back that up. Let's back that up real quick. Here we go again. So, who specifically are you talking to? Sir, ma'am, it, them, they, whatever you want to sit up there and be called. Who specifically are you talking about? Who specifically are you calling an idiot? Okay. All right. Just making sure. Just make it, like I said, like I told people before, I've done a lot of maturity. I relaxed before and I asked questions just to make sure. Just to make sure. Right? Okay. So we're cool. Let's continue then.
Doesn't mean that we are entitled to their spaces. Doesn't mean that we are entitled to their forgiveness. Doesn't mean we are entitled to their community. We're not entitled to it. We have to earn it. Because one thing I will tell you about Black Americans, they are some of the most welcoming, kind, empathetic, and forgiving group of people I've ever encountered. Instead of being offended or affronted that some African Americans do not welcome you in as if you are family and Black to them, they deserve that. Caribbean people as a whole, as a collective, have done a lot of harm to our cousins. African people as a whole, as a collective, have done a.
So you heard that. She specifically said a lot of Africans and a lot of Caribbeans have done a lot of harm to Black Americans, right? And for whatever reason, people tend to forget the things that they happen to say or do when it deals with Black Americans, how it is that they just so happen to treat us on a day by day and a weekly, a monthly, on a yearly basis. And then when it comes time for them to actually need help specifically from us, when they need our manpower, when they need the grassroots, when they need the voices, when they need the bodies, when they need the attention, now they want to sit up there and come to us as if we're trying to, we're supposed to turn the other cheek. That's not how that works. Because for, again, far too long, Black Americans have been like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to educate you guys on certain things. We're going to welcome you guys in here with open arms. We're going to teach you certain things about this government and how these people will treat you, see you, and deem. Right. But then everybody else is like, no, I'm different from y'all. I'm Jamaican. I'm African. I'm this, I'm that. This is my flag, my heritage, where I'm from, my religion. Right. Basically throwing everything that we're trying to give you, trying to welcome you into our home, our place of existence. You're throwing all of that to the wayside to sit up there and say that you're different. We're not needed. You don't need us. We are not you. You are not us. And here you are. Here you are. Now you have to sit up there and deal with the very same government that we tried to teach you about, that we tried to warn you about, that we tried to shelter and protect you from. You too decided that you wanted to vote against your own best interest, and here you are. You did all of these things, and because you couldn't face any of your losses, any of your defeats, where does that bring you? Right back to us. And we're not going to help. We have too many things on our plate historically that we still have not, gone through and filed and dotted the T's dotted the I's and crossed the T's. We have far too many things that we still need to go through and go over. We don't have any room. We don't have any time to deal with anybody else's problems or issues, because I'm going to re-say this again. If it came to a point that Black Americans were going to get deported, none of these people would care, and that is a fact. I know this because I can go back through segregation through videos that I have where you have these quote unquote minorities where they were sitting seat to seat, shoulder to shoulder in the same classroom, in the same restaurants, going to the same beaches, hotels with quote unquote white Americans, while black people were segregated off or couldn't even go to a beach, even though their land was directly on that beach. Crazy work. Couldn't go to a lake or a pond, even though their houses are right there because it was segregated. It was for white people only. Like I said, everybody else got to have their little bit of sun and shine and time in the sun. Everybody else got to sit back and make fun and look directly at Black Americans and say this and say that and all these other types of things. And here you are. Now you don't have Black Americans to help you, to care. You don't have Black Americans worrying about your circumstances, your kids, your families being broken apart, and all of these other things taking place. And because you can't deal with your failures, now you want to try to sit up there and fearmonger. Because you don't know how to apologize, now you want to point the finger and tell us that, oh, guess what? You guys are next. It's going to sit up there and happen to you guys. This is just a Tuesday for us. Your world is the one that's collapsing. Your land is the one that's cracking in several different areas and sinking directly into the sea. For us, it's just a Tuesday. Like I said, we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you. We tried to let you know. Didn't want to listen. It's crazy work. It's crazy work. Straight diabolical. But let's continue.
I've been trying to make this video for about 20 minutes now. And I'm so angry. And when I get angry like this, I get emotional. But you know what? So be it. A group of Black educators and Black business professionals got together and created Hillman Talk, which is what we do as a community. We uplift and we teach each other. And I'm so proud to see it because it takes us back to what our ancestors used to do. And then here come the white people, specifically white women. One white woman tried to claim the domain so that she could profit off of it. I'm online in one of the classes and I'm listening to this professor speak, handsome Black man. And in the comments, the Black people are asking questions. They're trying to learn. And what are you white doing? You're trying to get some Black D. You're flirting. You're cracking jokes. There was one Black woman who asked the question of the professor. And a white woman decided she was going to answer the question. To which the Black woman replied, "Thank you, but I'm asking the professor." And this replied, "You don't have to get an attitude, honey. I'm just," what? I get it. A lot of you don't have voices at home. None of you know what community looks like. But this is pissing me off to the point of no reason. It's a rage inside of me because you scream about unity, but you don't know how to unite. Everything is about you. And my people, because we're loving people, we know we can't force you out of these spaces, so we try to welcome you with open arms. But you don't know how to come in quietly. You're like a bunch of drugged up bulls in a china shop. You destroy everything that's good and pure. And you bring nothing, absolutely nothing in value. You see a space where you can take and get free labor and your ancestral genetics kick in. And don't get me wrong, I'm upset because I'm sick of it, but I expect this from you. But I am so tired of my people allowing you into spaces where you just take and destroy you all over it. Just stay out of our spaces if you can't learn to be respectful. It's that simple. Deconstruct your and then double back.
All right. So to sum up what this Black woman was talking about, she was in a meeting or a Zoom call, and you had some Black professors there, Black educators, Black men, right? So you had Black men, Black women there, and then for whatever reason, you also within that space had white women that were there. For whatever reason they're there, I'm not specifically too sure, but they were there. And what happened directly in that space is one thing, right? One, they have a name specifically for the space or whatever it is that they have. And we ended up finding out on social media that you have a white woman that's trying to buy the name, right? She wants to trademark that name. So something that, again, this is a history in the making. This, you watching this in 4K. So when black people happen to tell you that there's a lot of black inventions that people don't know about because white people stole it, this is case in point, right? So you have black spaces that have a name that black people came up for, and you have those out there that are white Americans or whoever that want to try to take that name so that they can profit directly what it is that black people, in a sense, created. Again, this is the American way. This is the way that it's always been done. You're listening to what she stated in 4K. Next, you have white women directly in these spaces that are, meant for black people to, communicate, talk, and all of these things. I'm just going to simply state this. I'm not sure how it is that was even allowed, how that was even a thing. There's tons of spaces that I see for white people on X or whatnot, and I see them and I pass right by them. I'm like, that is not for me. That's not a talking subject for me. I'm going to just mind my business. They can sit up there and have their space on the internet. For whatever reason, you have a lot of white people that feel that, oh, well, I'm just going to go into everybody's spaces and I'm going to, give my opinion. I'm going to say the things that I want to sit up there and state. And for black people to happen to allow this and to allow it to keep happening and not say or do anything about it is completely crazy. It's 1000% crazy. Something should have, took place there. And then specifically when she stated that a question was directed towards the professor, who was a black man, and she was waiting for the response, a white woman in the space decided that she wanted to answer the question instead of allowing the professor to answer the question. Again, this is what, those microaggressions and all those things look like, right? When you have two women in spaces like this who are complete opposites of one another, but yet you clearly know that somebody has an agenda and they're trying to go a certain place, right? Because obviously the Caucasian woman is trying to show up the black women who are there in order to get the attention of the black male professor, the educated black man that is there. So again, that should have been a part in time where the black women there should have shut down all of that noise, should not have allowed those women directly in there, because you already know what they're there for, what they're trying to sit up there and do. And as she stated before, they're not there for any other purpose other than to more than likely sleep with that professor to, try to get something going there. Again, and I've stated this to a lot of black women before, y'all got to stop allowing stuff like this to happen. Everybody is not your friends. Everybody does not have your best interest. A lot of people will double cross you. I listed this directly with the feminist movement, right? Black Panther Party got destroyed by way of the government, white people, and then they do what they normally do, and they slotted in white women to be right there next to black women to say that they're on the same playing field, the same eye level, and that we need to, fight for our own rights and our own power because, our men are doing this, that, and the third, when realistically this was a white woman's problem. Black women weren't having that issue because we were all going through the exact same things, the exact same happenings, but somehow, some way, the United States government came in there yet again and was like, hey, we got your back, black women. We see how it is that these black men are treating you. Fight with our women and you'll rise to the top. And when you look at the corporate ladder, when you look at the feminist movement down to 2025, let me know at any of these big executive places, how many black women are on top versus how many white women. And that should let you know what the feminist movement was actually about, which was using the energy of black women, all of that movement, all of that stuff in order to get themselves higher on top while they stand directly on your backs. And yet again, you have those same exact women who were supposed to be your sisters that voted against your best interest, correct? These were the overwhelming people that sat up there and told you that, hey, we're going to sit up there and vote for us and this, that, and the third. And they voted for their own best interest. They voted for their community. They voted for the men that they told you that they hated oh so much and disliked and all this other type of stuff. They voted to keep them in power just that much longer. and made y'all look like fools. And then they turned around online and be like, oh, we're sorry. We didn't mean to do that. We're going to sit up there and make friendship bracelets. We're going to show our solidarity with you guys after they had already sat up there and voted. Diabolical work. And again, that harkens back to what the information I gave you guys before, dealing with the affirmative action, dealing with DEI, and also dealing with the whole thing going with government assistance. Overwhelmingly, the main majority of women that are affected by any of these things being taken away are white women. White women. So why is it that everybody else is trying to get black women and black people all hyped about all of these things? Is crazy to me. Because if anything, it should be, white people that should overwhelmingly be angry and yada, yada, yada. Just saying. But let's continue.
They crying, oh, I don't know, Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Watu wanalia. Why are you crying? It's not your government, it's not your country. He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He's appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bana. This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves? Instead of crying, tujiulize, what are we going to do? Haya ametoa hiyo pesa, sasa tutafanya namna gani jameni? What are we going to do? Yeah? To support ourselves. Because nobody is going to continue holding out a hand there to give you. It is time for us to use our resources for the right things. We are the ones who are using them for the wrong things.
I didn't know that people were actually crying about Trump, pulling back funding or money and so on and so on. That's a little bit weird to me. That's a little bit weird. As he stated before, what are you crying for? That's not your country. You're not paying taxes. You're not even a United States citizen. He's doing that for his country, and he is 1,000% right. Why would you, as a nation, be so dependent on a European or a European system to help you survive when you have your own land and your own people, where you should be able to, coexist and work with one another in order to survive and thrive? That's a little bit crazy to me. I did not know that people were literally online crying about this. I ain't never seen anything in my life other than the fact of seeing some immigrants deciding to cry about the Queen, and everything, going along with that. But other than that, yeah, that's crazy. That dude is 100% right. There is no reason that anybody should be crying because Trump is like, hey, we're pulling back any type of funding. But I could have sworn Trump did pull back funding, but didn't the Arabs come through and they were like, hey, we're going to sit up there and formulate a deal with you and we're going to give y'all some money. So if they can easily sit up there and do it, why can't everybody else do it? I'm just saying. that's just a little bit weird to me, right? Right? America has been for years, decades, and so on and so on, been giving money to all these other countries, right? We've been giving hundreds of billions, to help out with all of these things going on, right? But yet nobody can sit up there and be like, hey, let's, formulate something, let's give some money, back to America because they've been doing all this, that, and the third. Like I said, nobody finds that weird. Nobody. It's crazy to me. It's very, very interesting. But also I got another video that I wanted to highlight as well. I'm not sure if I'll be able to fast forward through this one. It might be a little bit slower because how she talks, but let's listen to it.
Listen, I know y'all don't like Trump. I know y'all don't, but he doing what he's supposed to do. A lot of people, be the same people that was complaining about the state of our economy and our country and the way things was being ran. They sit up here struggling and they paying however much in their apartment. And yeah, y'all might still be paying that right now. It's only been a week. Sitting up here like, oh, stuff is too high, this, that. You got all these people laying out on the street, they homeless, blah, blah, blah. Yet, when someone comes along and is actually making the changes and not just talking, you're mad? You're mad? That's crazy to me. So today, Trump has halted all federal loans and federal grants. And that's because a lot of these federal loans and grants were being used for frivolous means, frivolous programs. And I don't blame him. The stuff is frivolous. They got programs with grants, programs for trans in space. What? It's not that, but stuff like that. It's like, what is this really going to? Because I know it's not that. I know for a fact, y'all, it's weird stuff like that. And that's why he's halting it. It's not for real programs that people really need. But see, the thing is, when they pass these bills originally, they'll put the stuff in there for people that really have the need, and they'll also sneak in weird stuff like that. Trans in space, or trans children surgeries, grants for that. That's what they'll do. So he's about to reverse all of that. So those bills that they were passing in the middle of the night, you know, the ones on a Tuesday in the middle of the night and we didn't know it was passing till the morning. Yeah, that stuff finna go. And as it should. That should have been his first step to go. Y'all should be mad at the Democratic Party that put that stuff in there in the first place, because it's you that's paying for it. You know how you struggling to pay your rent and your car notes and insurance and all that? Yeah. Because the more money they extract out of you, the stuff that's going to these frivolous programs, that's money you gotta pay. That money didn't come out of thin air. It came out of your check. And that's why I say it has to be cognitive dissonance at this point. Because there's no way the same people that are complaining about the way things are and the crime and this and that are the same people that's mad at Trump for making these changes. You mad that the kids can't read. He said, okay, well, I'll leave it to each state to take care of their education. No, he's trying to tear down the Department of Education. No, he's not. He's leaving it to each state. I don't get it. I don't, at this point, I don't get it. The country is in disarray, and it was left to us by the Biden administration, along with Kamala. She was part of it. The country is so deep in a hole, and you have someone coming along and he making immediate changes. They gave them people in North Carolina a place to live. The Biden administration said, here's $750. That's it. But there's brand new, fully furnished apartments, and our vice president went and got the big. You can't be serious. Like, you can't be serious. The man is not perfect. No, he's not. Is he a felon? Sure. But let me tell you something. Do y'all think that the previous presidents ain't do that plus more in their term and before their term and after their term? The only difference was they weren't prosecuted because they didn't want him in office making these changes. They didn't want him in office making the changes that he's making now. So they said, okay, let's see what we can find. Yeah, they're going to find something. What you think? It's politics. All of them. All of them. He just got prosecuted. That's the only difference. So, in closing, y'all got to be real now. You can't complain about the state of America and economy and then have someone reverse and change these things that's going to help you in the long run and be mad. Everybody ain't going to be happy. And you have to understand, in order to grow and change, there's going to be pain. There's going to be pressure. Yes, some people might not get food stamps, but if you know anything about the system, them people been on food stamps for generations. They didn't have Section 8 for generations. You need to get off. I think 5 years is sufficient. Don't y'all think? Am I tripping? I could have been on food stamps. I wanted food stamps. I wanted Section 8. But I couldn't get it. Because Jessica, who lives in a $1 million neighborhood, and hides all her assets is on Section 8. If we're going to really talk about it. Because Darren, who lives in a $500,000 house, got all the benefits. If we're going to really talk about it. But they're hiding it. But we're not going to get too far.
All right, so we all heard that woman talking, right? The main thing I said up there and told everybody before is that when it deals with the government, both Democrats and Republicans are playing everybody at the end of the day. I've also want to give a shout out to Hood Assassin for the $2 donate to the channel. Said we should mention many of them own slave. I guess you're talking about the quote unquote Native Americans and such. Yeah, they have, and there's many great deals of books and information directly about that too. But you know, the guy from the first video, I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to talk about that since he doesn't know where we came from or who it is that we are, right? Crazy work. But again, shout out to Hood Assassin for the $2 dono in the comment for the channel. The one thing I'll say is this, right? The one point that she made is the fact that you have people that are on government assistance for generations. That by itself is crazy. That by itself is nonsensical. And I'll put it like this. At a moment in time that somebody, let's say somebody just lost their job, right? That person should be able to get the assistance that they need, right? Because they're a taxpayer, they put money directly into the system. So the country in return should be able to help them out, up until they get back on their feet. But to magically, supernaturally have somebody unemployed for about 10, 20 years, I'm a little bit lost and confused. I'm not talking about people who are, disabled in any type of way. I'm talking about your average normal person to and from that got 2 working arms, 2 working legs. There is no reason in life that you should be unemployed and on government assistance for 10, 20 years. Like that's crazy to me. That's 100% crazy. Something like during that 10 to 20 years, like you didn't just so happen to get like a trade, you didn't learn some type of skill, you didn't happen to start up or do a business, you didn't find some type of random work somewhere, not even under the table. Like you got to be kidding me. And I've seen this before. But a lot of people feel that things like that are okay when realistically those people are using tax dollars. They're not really paying nothing into the system that they're taking direct money from. Everybody else is working a 9 to 5 and doing the things that they're supposed to do. They're going to college, getting put directly in debt. Working a 9 to 5, still trying to pay off that debt. Going into their elderly years, still more than likely in debt and suffering from the fact that they're more than likely never going to have Social Security. And if they still decide that they want to work while receiving Social Security, guess what? The government's like, okay, well, we can't have you doing that, and we're going to take away your Social Security, and you're going to be basically out there working and struggling like you were originally. Like I said, the whole system is already jacked how it is. We need to make it less jacked up, right? Again, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I'm just saying. Michael said, yo, what's up? What's up? You said, I'm disabled. I collect SSI and SNAP, and I am on Medicaid. Wait. Comment rolled up. Orange Voldemort is actively trying to take all that away. She is just a shameless clown. Again, for me, I'm not mentioning anybody that's disabled. Like, that's completely different. That's something outside of your control. There's nothing you can sit up and do. You're not going to be able to work, a standard issue, 9 to 5, be on your feet, or to use your back for physical labor. You got a lot of things, going on. That is understandable. For me, given her example, I'm talking about the people who are able-bodied. There is no, like I said, I done seen grown dudes out here that have literally been here for decades that is on government assistance, not trying to get a job, and also being on government assistance and not working, not trying to get a skill, not trying to get an education, out here creating kids recklessly. Again, a lot of stuff does not need to happen. That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm at. I'm pretty sure that we should be able to all agree that if you decide that you want to be reckless with your life and you want to go out here and create kids, then by yourself, you should be taking care of those kids. It's not up to the government, and it's not up to the taxpayers to sit up there and benefit and take care of those kids. That's crazy to me. You're living and committing reckless behavior. 100%. Hold on, give me one second. One second, I'm just here. I'm still here. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I had to answer the phone real quick. But yeah, like I said, that's where I'm at. As a person that pays taxes, as a person that, of course, is doing what they're supposed to do, right? And or at least try to create some, which is what America wants. They want people to be, entrepreneurs, creating jobs and all this other type of stuff and yada yada yada, right? As a person that is going by and doing what I'm supposed to do, just like a lot of you guys here, I'm pretty sure that we can all agree that we don't want to see people out here just recklessly, just being reckless and then forcing everybody else to pay for their mistakes or what it is that they're doing. Like that's crazy to me. It doesn't make any type of sense. And the other point that she brought up as well is the fact that a lot of these women out here who are rich, who are white, are living deep in the suburbs and they're hiding their finances, they're hiding their money, also that they can sit up there and claim, all of these government assistance. This is why I gave the stat. Let me see. Do I still have that picture directly up here? Let me see if I even still have the picture. If I can even find it. Because this is some crazy type of work out here, to know the fact that you got people out here that's like deep in the suburbs, all rich and everything, got marble sinks, marble tubs, all that other type of good stuff, and it's like, yeah, they got government assistance. I'm like, how that works, Susan? What you what papers are you lying on? And how is the United States allowing you to? Well, that's a dumb question, but how is the United States allowing you to sit up there and do this? Right? Let me see if I could find the image. There we go. Let me stream that directly to you guys. So this is something that I gave to you guys earlier on, right? To further make the point, right? And can I blow this up a little bit more? It says that yes, most recipients suggest that mostly white women are disproportionately losing SNAP benefits, and this can be explained by several factors, including policy changes and demographic realities. Below is an analysis of why this may be occurring. And again, these are all the stats word wise when it deals with white women being on government assistance. I can highly tell you, like, let that be black women on government assistance. Oh, everybody would have been ecstatic. Everybody would have been happy. They would have made sure, but oh yeah. We're going to make sure to sit up there and get rid of this. The black community sitting up there doing this, that, and the third, and all this other. But again, we're dealing with something where the overwhelming majority, because you got to remember, there are more white women here than there are black women, because white people are the majority in this country. So overwhelmingly, they would be the main ones who would mostly benefit from this. Not saying that you don't have black people in the black community that benefit from this as well, but not by the numbers, not by the majority of the demographic here. No, just no. But like I said before, nobody wants to talk about that. Whenever they always talked about government assistance, what is it that they always told you guys? Oh, it's the black community. They're draining this economy. They're pushing us further in debt. They're siphoning money. They're this, they're that. When realistically, the same people crying are the same ones that's using WIC, that has SNAP, that has all of these other types of things while being able-bodied, while living in these nice lavish homes, while living directly in the suburbs. For some of y'all black people out here that's in the suburbs, a lot of your white counterparts, a lot of your white neighbors have government assistance. They might be coming through in the Benz or the Mercedes or the Rover, all that G-Wagon, whatever it is. They might be driving that, but I promise you, they got a card. They're getting some government assistance, and it's by way of Susan, because she's lying about her finances or hiding those finances and trying to state that, oh, I'm a single mother. I'm this, I'm that. And also, don't be too surprised if you got a lot of these women that's also these white women that's on Section 8 living in these nice homes. And I can more than likely promise you that they more than likely get more in government assistance and they get more in Section 8 than black women do. Because the system that is built for them is going to make sure that they can profit from it by any means necessary. But like I said before, a lot of people don't want to pay attention. A lot of people don't want to, happen to listen. It's crazy. It's 100% crazy. Let me see. It's no surprise that every program and benefits are designed for white women and white men. They just use black people as the face of it. Yeah. Yeah, just like they want to, talk about the black men, the main stereotype, black men are not fathers. And I keep consistently telling people I grew up in the hood, and a lot of my friends, and I'm honest with people, like, yo, as being as transparent as possible, quote unquote the statistic, I grew up in a single parent household, right? But around that, I had people around me that had their fathers. My boy Chris, his father, shout out to Mr. Thomas. My boy Ricky, shout out to Mr. Satima. My boy Big Mike, shout out to Mr. Roosevelt, and many, many more. Even the girls / women that I've known in my life have their fathers. So again, I'm a little bit confused. And again, this is coming from somebody who is, statistically speaking, coming from a single parent household. If black fathers don't exist, how would I be able to consistently run through my life and have friends and all these other types of black people there that have their fathers present? Somebody has to be lying, because the way that people make it seem online is that it's a needle in a haystack. It's like looking into the sky and trying to find a habitable planet. They make it seem like that's how rare a black father is, but realistically it's not. But again, those are the lies that a lot of people like to use and tell. Even the CDC had to come out and sit up there and tell people that actually black men, when it deals with America, black men are both more present in and around their children's lives more than any other racial group of men in America. And that was the CDC, guys. But do you think that a lot of people want to spread the information around and make that public and show that positivity out there? No, they want to keep selling y'all and weaving the tales and the stories of black men not wanting to be fathers. Look at this father and doing this and doing that. But they don't want to show you the ones that's there, the ones that's present, the ones that are part of their NBA sons and their NFL sons' lives, that have trained them, that have taught them, that have pushed them to the peak of where it is that they are to be a human being. Any of the black male boxers out here, they don't want to show you their fathers. Like I said, Floyd's father has been there. He was also a boxer. That man is there. He also got his uncle. He got 2 black men that have always been present in his life, and that's a black man. Like I said, everybody want to say whatnot or whatever about Floyd, but he had his father though. He got his uncle though. Like I said, there's a multitude of black men that I could listen talk about that had black fathers and black males in their lives that positively pushed them in a way, but nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to highlight that. But you know what they will highlight? Oh, that's a great white father there. He's always present. He's always there. They've been some of the most Rolling Stones that you've ever seen in existence. Go back to the Wild Wild West. Go back to when the West was calling a lot of these white men and let me know how many of their families were broken apart because they didn't have paperwork. They didn't really have, the marriage. They were just, oh, we're going to jump over the broom. We're going to, do this, that, and the third. And then he turns around and talks to Susan. The West is calling me, honey. I gotta leave. I gotta go here. I gotta go there. Don't send for me. Don't look for me. I'll look for you. And then he started off 2 or 3 families over there while quote unquote during the gold rush. But yet, the black community is the poster child for fatherlessness when this is how America originally started. How the Europeans came over here and they were just going through the many different groups of indigenous people here and creating all of these offspring of children and never there to raise them. Nobody wants to talk about that though, right? Nobody wants to talk about the European man going directly over there to Haiti, South America, Jamaica, China, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, Australia. Don't want to sit up there and talk about how those European men go directly over to all of these places and create those children. Matter of fact, let's bring it up to a point in time of dealing with war. Nobody wants to talk about how these American white men go to all of these war-torn countries, sleep with those women and those girls, creating children just to abandon them and leave them. But yet you want to sit up here and believe that black men are the poster child for not being a part of a home, for making broken homes, for not being there to raise their kids. Like I said, it's diabolical work. But these are the narratives, and these are the things that a lot of people want to believe. It's crazy work. It's crazy. Diabolical work, though. But like I said, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yo, Tim Asuna, what is up? What is up? You said like the passport bros. Who specifically, now when you say passport bros, who specifically are you talking about? Let me know. Are you talking about the black guys who travel, or are you talking about the white guys who travel? Take your time. Let me know who you're talking about. Let me know. So you said Tim Asuna said you got a million. Let me just highlight this. You said you got a million FBA passport channels. Really? A million, really? Let's just go into it like this. I could have sworn that people said that black men were broke, right? This is how crazy that this sounds, right? So everybody says that black men are broke, black men don't have no money, we don't got no jobs, and all this other type of stuff. So how would it be possible for black men with no skills to magically have these successful YouTube channels and to magically get the money out of nowhere, out of not having a bank account because they don't have a job, they don't add anything to the economy or the country? How would they then have and get the knowledge and the money to then travel? How does that work? Hold on. So you said white passport bros aren't as goofy on what they, you know why they're not as goofy, right? Now I know some of the people that you're referring to, but to try to say and to group that in to say that that's all the black men that travel, like this is what they do, that's nonsensical. Again, I just listed to you historically talking about how European men have gone all around the world, the original passport bros, how they've gone all around the world, and they've decided that they want to impregnate random women and leave those kids and create broken homes. But yet people want to make black men to be the poster child of this whole type of thing, which is nonsensical, crazy. And then when it deals with the passport bros, that again, black men didn't start this. Black men did not start the whole passport bro movement, but for whatever reason, people are like, yeah, black men, this is your movement. This is what you do. This is what we're going to sit up there and highlight. For the most part, that I've watched a variety of white men both stream, both make video content, both going on vlogs, and I've seen the types of things that they do, how it is that they decide to treat women. Again, I'm coming from an angle of which I've done a little bit more research than most people. I've gone and deep dived a little bit more into these areas than the face value that a lot of people like to actually talk about when they have these conversations. Because again, if you were to actually look and dive deep, you would actually understand truly what it is. You would actually see the degeneracy that would actually take place, the fallacies that would happen that people would tend to believe. This is why you have a lot of European and white American men believe that all of Asia is their playground. This is why they believe that Asian women solely belong to them. They feel that they are the pinnacle of men. And this is why, if you actually talk to a lot of black American men that are in Japan, you will soon realize how it is that the American white males, European males, get mad when they happen to see a Japanese, out of all of the Japanese women, if one Japanese woman is happening to talk to a black man, oh, they're steaming, they're livid, they're angry, they're mad because they're that possessive. They feel that those women solely belong to them, but they're slowly but surely realizing that, hey, there's more men out here that can actually compete and actually beat you at your own game. I'm just saying. But again, I'm pretty sure that you don't happen to pay attention to those guys who are on Twitch, who are on Kick, some of the older videos that people have actually streamed and put directly up there. I'm pretty sure you're not going to the blog sites and listening and reading about how these men travel. Matter of fact, I actually one of these passport bros, I actually did a deep dive to because he had a Reddit thread, and I highlighted that Reddit thread, and I talked about the fact how you have these European men that leave Europe with their euros, and they go down to Africa, and they decide to go to the many nations there and just sleep with hundreds and hundreds of African women, some of which giving them STDs, getting them pregnant, doing all types of things, and then going back home. And then he was like, hey, I went back home. I had such a fun time. You know, even though I caught something, it is what it is. I went back home, and then I took a little bit of break. And then I told one of my friends, and you know what him and his friend is going to do? They're going to do a double back, and they're going to come back from Europe, and they're going to go right back through the African continent to these different areas and sleep with these African women and others, because they just want to explore and do all of these other things. They also have pictures of these things, and I've talked about it. But you want to say that white passport bros aren't as goofy? You're smoking rocks. I've literally covered this directly on my platform in video format in 4K. But like I said before, you know, I can't help that a lot of people don't want to pay attention and educate themselves before they start speaking. Just saying. Just saying. Ooh, Tim, I'm starting to think, looking at your wording, I'm starting to think that you're white. Starting to get a sense of that. Let's see what else you got here, Tim. Let's see what else you got for me. You said passport bros are broke. They beg for money to get a flight home after going broke on hookers. You know, why is it, Tim, that you don't want to talk about the fact that a lot of white American men and European men seem to go to Asian countries to deal with people that are underage? How come you don't want to talk about that, Tim? I actually have videos on that. How come you don't want to talk about that, Tim? What's going on? Hold on, what was it? So LaRonda Hicks, you said this pod case sucks. I need you to get your spelling right before you decide to say that my live stream sucks. We actually got about 337 people here at this moment in time. So obviously you're the only one that sucks. You came here. I'm not seeking you out. I'm just saying. I'm not looking for you. I don't even know who you are. That's crazy. It's diabolical work. But it's crazy how, you know, magically my content sucks when I start pointing out the truth and the fact of the European and the white American male and what it is that they like to do in a lot of these other countries, and magically you got people out here that want to start critiquing the content. That's crazy. That's diabolical work. Nobody actually wants to focus in on that. Wow. You said because per capita, the FBA passport bros goofiness is way past population. What are you even talking about? Like that don't even, y'all always try to roll with this per capita, yada yada yada. Y'all some of the main ones when the FBI released the stats when it deals with children and acts against family. Y'all top the charts on overall the highest percentage of all the FBI stats. You guys are on the boards. Your jerseys are in the rafters. Jerseys are in the rafters. But you're talking about goofiness. But I'm literally talking about the serious areas of people creating broken homes. You don't want to sit up there and touch on that because, you know, historically, when we actually talk about who had the money to travel and go to place, you know exactly who that was, right? But you don't want to talk about that. You don't want to address that because you can't. So you decide to move the goalpost. You want to shift it directly to something else. So when I sit up there and tell you that you got European males that want to act goofy directly online and they showcase their exploits by way of taking many of hundreds of pictures of African women that they decided to sleep with, some of which the age is quite questionable, you don't want to sit up there and address that. It's crazy. It's real mysterious. Real mysterious. But like I said, I love it. I love the dodging directly out here when it deals with these types of things and how it is that people don't want to be made accountable. But people want to make sure. LaRonda, don't you got a street to walk on or something? Like I'm pretty sure like there's a blade somewhere that you should be, out there like walking on something. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there should be some work that you should be doing on somebody's corner while you out here talking about somebody sucks. That's your livelihood and your job. Not shaming, because however it is that people want to sit up there and make their money, it is what it is. But sweetheart, that's not me, that's you. You know more about that than I do. So like I said before, I don't know if maybe you might have had some dealings with your father for about 12 years, your uncle, your grandfather, or maybe even your brother. You like I said, you might want to talk to the men of your family about that, and how it is that you do so well at your job. Because I'm not sure how you coming to me like that. That's some crazy work. That's some crazy work. But if the shoe fits, you might as well start walking them streets. Start lacing up real quick. I'm pretty sure you got some people out there that's missing you for about 50 cents a car. But like I said before, it's crazy how a lot of people want to roll up here and they want to, try to switch it and, go directly on Black Americans. What was that? Ma'am, don't nobody care. You got a street to work. You got many streets to work. You should have been left. You, your God, and whatever horse that you decided to roll in on, that was your fault. You came into the wrong one. And now you want to sit up here and leave. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Tim said, you'll find 20 goofy FBA passport bros and maybe 4 white goofy passport bros. That's crazy. Looking at populations. The craziest thing that I happen to remember growing up? I remember Girls Gone Wild. Anybody else remember that? Anybody else remember Girls Gone Wild? All of those white girls that were in college, some of them just got out of high school, and you had these grown white guys that were going directly to these college parties, sleeping with these young girls. Diabolical work to sit up there and put your daughters out there, some of which right now are actually mothers. Don't want to talk about that though, right? Don't want to talk about how that also created broken homes, how that created a culture of which that men of your community looked at women a certain type of way, how you guys are also dibbling and dabbling and drugging those women and doing a variety of things. Like I said, there are some horror stories directly with that. There's actually a documentary with this as well too, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to pay attention to that either, huh? And that's more so at home where you could actually control what's going on. But you ain't really about controlling anything though, huh? Right? Don't want to talk about that one, huh? Like I said, I can't be the only one that actually remembers Girls Gone Wild. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. You said Goofy is a New York thing. I guess I'm not even sure what that even means. I'm not even sure what you're trying to even go for. But I guess it's crazy work. William Boyer, we're going to highlight you real quick. You said, when I was stationed in South Korea in 85 through 88, the white guys would tell the girls at midnight, we grow body hair and tails becoming monkeys. Wow, that sounds like Dragon Ball Z. Shout out to Akira Toriyama. We grow body hair and tails becoming monkeys, and another white guy bragged of going after a underaged individual. Crazy work. Diabolical. And that's another thing too. I've actually, Tim, I've covered stories dealing with the Boy Scouts and dealing with the Catholic Church. Got anything to say about that, Tim? Those are passport bros. Because once they get in trouble, they start getting moved around to place to place to place, just to hide whatever it is that they did. They don't actually get prosecuted. They actually have websites at this moment in time right now that guys of a certain community go, and they specifically explain in detail the stories about how these white men in these powerful positions would then go after them when they're younger. Isn't that interesting, Tim? Isn't that interesting, Tim? How you have these guys of a certain community being honest about what it is that white men have specifically done to them but you don't want to address that, just like you don't want to address the historical facts when it deals with your guys going all over the world creating broken homes and all of these kids and yada yada yada. Matter of fact, they actually have a documentary about this with the Philippines where it deals with your guys going directly over there, creating kids and not coming back. It's the same exact thing as the Asian man going over there to Africa. I guess birds of a feather, however they finish that one up. It's crazy work. Crazy work. Now you said, now you got a few goofy Asian passport bros. I guess I'm not sure why I would care about the Asian passport bros. I'm talking about you, Tim. He was like, but I don't see Latino passport bros. I mean, if you're looking for the Spanish or the Spaniards, you would actually see them. But I guess you would more so look for them in Canada and in Europe and some other areas over there, and also in Africa. But again, because people tend not to look around, it is what it is. Tim said, creeps into kids always trying to get jobs near kids where they have trust and authority. It's well known. Obviously, it's not well known, Tim, if it keeps happening in your community. And I've primarily always talked about your community on how every single day there's always a teacher in your community that is going after them. And guess what? That little to no prosecution happens. Matter of fact, I actually did a video where one guy got caught not once, not twice, but 3 times. And he had the same judge every single time that he was released. Explain that to me, Tim, because I can promise you that that judge was not black. I promise you that he was white American. And I promise you that the guy that got released and that showed up to court all 3 of those times wasn't black. So why is it so heavily prevalent in your community, even though you like to say that this is heavily well known? No, it's not, because when growing up looking at the news, they weren't talking about y'all like that. You know who they were talking about? Black Americans. Anything that dealt with any type of crime, anything negative that they can highly make a selling point, even to the fact of when I started doing this platform, guess what? I actually did a story about a white man that was supposed to be getting arrested, but he decided to have a shootout with the police and he fired over 200 rounds at officers. And what the cops did? They stayed there ducking behind cars. Wow, isn't that interesting? How you guys tend to treat your own people, even though your lives are in danger. But yet, if a black man has a cell phone during some type of random stop, oh, he has a gun, blah, 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 blah. It's crazy. You would have thought that y'all were just John McCain. You would have thought that you guys were the Punisher. You would have thought that this was a Michael Bay film about all the explosions and the shots going off. But yet you don't seem to do this when it's dealing with your own people that are shooting 200 rounds. So you mean to tell me that you actually sat there behind these cars full of bullet holes, barely even shooting, and you're allowing this dude to da-da-da-da-da-da, clip, take a pause, reload, da-da-da-da-da-da. You really sat there and allowed him to reload. Diabolical work. That is crazy. That is massively insane, Tim. Massively insane. And these are your guys. These are your people that you allow to do this in the United States. And y'all the main ones talking about y'all want to get all the immigrants out because they create so much crime. You guys are the original criminals. That's why Europe got rid of y'all. You are the original imports coming directly on ships. The same way that you want to clown all these immigrants, y'all came on ships too. How you think you got here? By airplane? The Wright brothers? Like, how do you think that y'all got here? The same thing that y'all trying to do is clear out these jails, clear out all of these prisons and send them elsewhere. That's what the United Kingdom did to y'all. That's what Europe did to y'all. They were like, yo, we're tired of y'all. We're going to cleanse our bloodline. We're getting y'all right up out of here. We're packing you up today. We're going to give you the title conquistadors. So go fall off the side of the earth. That's how you got here. That's your history. And then from there, being the criminals and committing all the atrocities that you committed there, you decided to bear children and commit those exact same atrocities and pass that down through your DNA, through your DNA, through your DNA. And here we are now in 2025. We are still doing the exact same things that got you thrown out of Europe for. Crazy work. Interesting. But when Black Americans want to talk about this stuff and we want to bring this stuff in, y'all want to start ducking and dodging. Y'all want to start talking about, oh, but what about Detroit? What about Chicago? What about Atlanta? What about areas of Florida? What about this? What about that? if we want to talk about the Chicago, and the crime there, let's talk about the original gangsters. Let's talk about St. Valentine's Day, which was one of the most bloodiest massacres in United States history, where you guys were just coming through, spraying up the town. Crazy work. Black people weren't doing that. That was y'all rolling through with Tommy guns, having shootout with the cops, all of this. And y'all glorify this in films as if it's a good thing, as if it's supposed to happen. Fight the power, right? That's crazy work. That's very interesting. It's very awesome. It's very awesome. Tim said, "Don't use race. That's why Dominicans don't pick." Tim, do you actually think that I care about? Do you actually think that I care about what the Dominicans are doing? No, we Black Americans actually laugh. We make fun of that. It is what it is. We don't actually care. See, that's the problem. Whenever it is that you guys want to talk, or you feel like you're trying to substantiate a point, you want to roll back and be like, you know what? This is why these people sit up there and get mad at you, because you guys are always sitting up there talking about race. Did you forget that that's how the United States was actually created? If you want to talk about the originators of race, it was y'all. If you go back and look up the original term for American, it was to the indigenous copper-colored folk that were found here, that were already here, that were already present before you got here, good sir. The only reason that you guys, Europeans, the pagans that you are, Christians, quote unquote, even though y'all don't even believe in a God, the only reason that you even have the name of being an American is because, you try to get rid of the natives, and you try to assume their role and their position so that you can take hold of this land, which again is not yours because it's not even God given. Your land was over there in the Caucasus Mountains in the caves, full of stones. I guess you forgot when your people used to walk on all fours. Wasn't there a story where Moses had to sit up there and teach people how to walk? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was very close to the caves where a lot of you guys were originating from, right? They had to put boards on your back. They had to teach you to be human beings and how to, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Tim said Godfrey made a joke. Yeah, he made a joke. Because he knows the fact that over there, in the Dominican Republic, you got some Dominicans that are darker than other folks. But like I said, due to the fact of colonization, due to the fact of the effect of Europeans, because wherever it is that you guys happen to touch, it turns into ash, because of that type of miseducation, this is what it is. This is what's happening to the Asian folks. Because at a point in time, I even have a picture of more darker complected Asians, especially in the military back in the 1900s, right? And the funniest thing about that is when you try to look at those Asians now and compare those previous pictures, you don't see Asians being that dark. Why is that? Because as soon as you guys showed up, they thought that is what they're supposed to be. They thought that being as porcelain and all this other, they thought that was everything. This is why I went over a documentary that a Chinese man made, and he's a historian, and he specifically said that the worst mistake that the Chinese made was opening their doors to the West, because as soon as they did, they pretty much lost everything that made them them. And he was 100% factual, because when you go over to a lot of these Asian countries, they like to use white models in order to show off the clothes that Asian people are going to be wearing. And again, that doesn't make any sense, because normally people want to see somebody that looks just like them. But not over there in a lot of those countries, because they've been so brainwashed and warped to believe that, your people are whatever, that the Europeans are whatever. It's the exact same thing that a lot of people in the islands who are Black, a lot of people who are over there in Africa are going through right now. And this is why they like to bleach their skin to seem lighter, because you guys came over there and messed up their minds and told them that, no, this is not the way that you're supposed to be. Even though the fact of this is a warm planet, this is a warm climate, and it's always been that way. It's just been the fact that you guys aren't the ones that can normally survive here. The sun nurtures and loves everything, the algae, the clouds, things in a desert, things in the ocean. No matter where the planet is, no matter where the sun touches, It shows a type of love there. It helps to grow certain types of biomes, microorganisms, different types of life. But the thing I find very odd out of this whole planet, the sun seems not to do that to the European group. It seems very odd that everybody else who is melanated is able to survive staying in the sun and not suffer from complications or issues, except for one group. And that's the main group out of this whole planet who has the lowest population, who are actually the minorities when it deals with the world's populations. Because in comparison to Europeans, guess what? Europeans don't have a population considerable to Africa, to India, to that of South America, to that of China. Why is that? Add up all the areas where Europeans are in those populations and compare that to the ones where people are in the billions. It's like, wow, that's weird. If you guys are supposed to be the first people, if you guys basically modernized and made the planet what it is, then you should have the largest population. But oh wait, I forgot. At one point in time, didn't you guys have the plague that almost wiped you out of existence? I wonder how that happened. How did that take place, Tim? How did you guys inevitably end up having the plague? Population dwindling, and still in 2025, guess what? It still is the exact same way. Somebody in the chat said Tim is Mexican. It doesn't even matter who he is. Hold on, let me see if I can go back to a previous image. Let's see here if I can happen to it. Like I said, I don't care who anybody is. We're gonna look directly at this right here. I don't care what language that you speak. It don't even matter. The facts are this right here. People can be as Latin as all get out. The facts of the matter is that they fought in order to be considered white. So that's exactly how I'm going to talk to them. That's how I'm going to consider them. That's how I'm going to categorize them, because historically, that's what they fought for. Even if he knows the history or not, it's only right for me to give them the title that they fought so hard for. So if you fought in order to be called white, you can't sit up there and call yourself indigenous, because now you're under a whole nother classification. And the original white people are Europeans, pagans, Christians who came over there from Europe because the Europeans were trying to cleanse, their lands, their blood. They were trying to get rid of the trash. So again, I don't know what else to sit up there and tell people. Don't know what else to tell people. It's crazy. It's crazy work out here. Wild work. See what else we got here. Dun dun dun. We were indigenous to this earth. They invaded and took the identity. Okay, yeah, I get that. Oh, look at that. Kara's trying to put out some information, trying to tell everybody that they're slaves. You're a little bit too late on that, because I've been talking about that and gone over that for quite a many years. So I'm like, yeah, I'm expecting some brand new information here. I mean, if you actually want to be real, then you could just say that this is a prison planet, but nobody's going to go that far. So now you're moving a goalpost out of everything that I stated. Now you want to start talking about Paul Mooney. He's not even around to even have a debate. And even when he was around, I'm pretty sure, Tim, that you weren't trying to look for him in order to say this directly to his face. So what's the use of saying this now to a man that is no longer here? That's some clown work. That is some clown work. Let's see what else we got. Who are you talking to? You said FBA are West and Central Africans. Are you saying that we aren't humans? Are you slow? Do you not know what indigenous means? Do you not know what original people means? So you mean to tell me? So let me just get this straight, right? So Africans are on their continent, right? Australians, well, actually, I can't even say Australians. I would say the Aboriginals are on their continent, right? Or at least a lot of them were before, the Europeans came over and tried to push them off the cliffs, right? The Asians are in their spaces, right? Europeans are technically sort of kind of in their spaces, right? Even though y'all didn't really have a space. And then we had, people in South America, they have their spaces, correct? So then that would leave North America and Canada, right? Or those parts of the Americas, right? I wonder who was there, because we know it wasn't we know it wasn't anybody that was of European heritage, of European birthright. We know that for a fact, right? Because Christopher Columbus happened to have found this because he was looking for India, because he was stupid, right? And he also liked going after miners. So we know that couldn't have been it. So that would mean that you will more than likely have more melanated, darker complected people here, aka the Americans, the true Americans, the copper colored folk that were here originally. I wonder who those people were. Just saying. Because I'm a little bit confused when you're trying to sit up there and say it. So I'm trying to say that, such and such is not human. I'm saying that people are indigenous. I'm saying that people are the originators of a land. I'm not sure where you got non-human from. I'm thinking that that's just that theory that you want to try to go off on because you're trying to substantiate a point, even though I just corrected you and you basically have no point. So I'm a little bit confused. Just confused. You said I once saw a body soap. These are very dark. Black man washed him with the soap. Oh yeah. I think that was a Chinese, or it was an Asian commercial. I know what you're talking about. I still have that commercial. I got actually quite a bit of commercials dealing with Asians and how it is that they, use African folks there, and trying to show that their bleach or their soap basically keeps white, that type of deal. It's crazy. Diabolical work. The funniest thing is I actually thread I actually did a while ago. I might be able to upload that. I'll have to actually find it. I actually did a video directly on that. On how the sun sees you. I did a video directly on that. And I showcased the many pictures of when they put on that filter and how it is that Europeans are basically seen skin wise. And you can then tell why it is that they cannot take in the sun the way that everybody else takes it. So this is why they have to use the SPF 15 and 20 and 35, 25, all of these things, because once under that lens, they put on an SPF, to our eyes, it looks white, right? And I'm guessing that's the selling point so that they can give that to the Europeans, right? So when it appears white, under the lens, it goes on black. Right, it basically, in a sense, gives them a melanated type of armor so that they can stay directly in the sun, so that they don't have to worry about certain things that they normally catch and get because they're staying in the sun a little bit too long because their bodies and their skin are not specifically built for it. Again, this is not me sitting up there being whatnot or whatever. I'm talking facts. Talking facts. Talking facts. What else we got? You said 0 African DNA in my test. Sounds like a you problem. I'm not sure even what you're talking about. And last time I remember, a lot of people sat up there and said even your scientists were like, "Hey, everything started in Africa." Isn't that what people isn't that what your what anthropologists and whatnot stated? Isn't this what the archaeologists stated and all the other science fields? Like I could have sworn that was the whole out of Africa theory. Because again, let's just put it like this, right? Now I can use North America to an extent, and go with the whole thing of that actually being Egypt and the Nile and all these other types of things, because when you actually look at the face of North America, you have so many more pyramids than you would see elsewhere, right? Matter of fact, in the Americas, you would see so many more pyramids than you would see elsewhere, right? But I'm just going to digress and keep that directly over there in Africa, right? So if Africa is a warm continent, right? That would also mean that the Garden of Eden would also be in Africa. It wouldn't be in Europe. There is nothing warm about Europe, just to be honest. just to be honest. And if all of the animals of the earth were supposed to be up there, lions, tigers, bears, oh my. No. 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 They're not going to be just freely just roaming up there in Europe. No. No. Let's be real. If the Garden of Eden had to be anywhere, it would more than likely be in Africa. And again, I said I digress from, trying to, bring up North America and all of those many different types of things, because we're going to just stick it directly there because you wanted to bring up Africa, say that you got zero DNA from a DNA test that you took and yada, 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 all this other type of good stuff. But yeah, okay. All right. It's crazy. Crazy word. So you said Tim was like, "Oh, you went back in time to pretend it's relevant today." I went past, present, and technically future. I went everywhere, and somehow, some way, you overlooked all of the information that I stated, and you just wanted to keep talking about passport bros this, passport bros that, all this other type of stuff, goofy this and goofy that. Like I said, I'm bringing up a lot of points. Ain't saying nothing. Even your little girlfriend that was up in this chat, she decided to leave because I called her out on her street activities that she was, trying to parade around in these chats. Like I said, we ain't doing that. Better start you up on OnlyFans. We're not doing that. It's crazy. It's crazy work. It's crazy work. Let me see what else we got. Ooh, you said that's sad. That's sad, downtrodden behavior. Last time I heard downtrodden was when I watched a movie with Heath Ledger, one of my favorite movies called A Knight's Tale. And it was over there in Europe. It was over there in the UK, which would then make me think that you have to also be from the UK as well, because no black American uses downtrodden. That's just not a part of our lingo, Tim. It's a little bit interesting how that works. How when you allow people to talk just a little bit longer, they start to tell on themselves. Amazing. So I had the right part right, that you were European. I just didn't know which part or how much European. But it showed up anyway, given enough time. It took about what, like 30, maybe 45 minutes for something to organically come out. Crazy work. Diabolical. Diabolical work. Yo, Gad Wilson, you said you read of all the different ethnicities that the Euros have exterminated around the world, around the globe. I might do a video on that. Thank you for that, Gad Wilson. Thank you for that idea. I may just happen to do that. It may be a very great video there. It's crazy work. What else we got directly out? Let me see. Let's see, we got Tippy. Means having one of the five found in America. Ancestry incarnation. We got Israelite. I'm trying to scroll directly down, trying to catch up. We got Gil in the building. What is up? What is up? Much love, respect, and appreciation. Also, much love and respect and appreciation to any and everybody that's directly in the chat at this moment in time. Shout out to all 310 people. Shout out to anybody who was also donated to the platform as well. Much love, respect, and appreciation. India wasn't called India in Columbus time. Okay. But that's what I'm referring to it as at this moment in time. Because if I look on a map, that's what we're going to sit up there and call it. I'm pretty sure a lot of areas in Europe aren't referred to as they are right now, but we're not going to go that deep. The same thing with North America. I'm pretty sure it had a vastly different name. Matter of fact, all of the states, all of the, the many different splits in land here, I'm pretty sure they had different names as well too, but I'm pretty sure you're not trying to go that deep. So I'm not sure where you're even trying to go to at this moment in time. Guess you must be laughing at yourself. It's crazy. Carrie, you might want to specifically speak on European Americans are the ones that do that type of thing. Black Americans don't do that. We don't, commit those types of actions against people. Like I said, I got books on European Americans and how it is that they treated slaves. Let me see what we got. What else we got? Let me see. Liquid melanin, primarily by the proportions of melanin to phenomelanin, overall amounts of melanin produced. Da, 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 da. What else we got? Tim said Aboriginal is used by Australian Indigenous, whose nearest genetic ancestors are the Japanese and not Africans. Dear God, you're just going everywhere at this moment in time. I'm literally talking about the people that literally have their own spot. Their own spot. The Japanese got their own, they clear cut their own thing. They're doing their own thing and all this other type of stuff. Right? Just like I said, the same thing for the Africans and some of the Europeans, even though y'all really didn't have a real population like that, y'all still had technically your own space. Right? Which would then mean leave the Americas. Right? South America was pretty much, taken up by the people that was there. And then you have Middle America, and then you got technically North America, realistically, just saying. And I mean that by Canada in a sense, because they are actually further north than we are. But anyways, yeah. What else we got? Isuna. We got Claude. We got Officer Haku in the building. What is up? What is up? AKA Brandon V World. That was at 3:56. It is 4:02 at this moment in time. Just trying to skip through. Go directly through 9 DNA combinations. If there was a Pangia, how is Africa the motherland? That's a point. Because they even got pyramids. The funniest thing is what a lot of people don't happen to pay attention to is they have pyramids in Antarctica as well. Brandon B. World was like, we got a lot of Bradleys in here today. Yeah, we do. Let me tell you. Let me see what else we got. Star Child said technically it is still a dark planet, true. Even though they're trying to change it by way of Bill Gates. And I brought y'all a story about that some years ago where he was like, yeah, we're going to use some technology to slightly block out the sun. Why would you need to block out the sun on a warm planet? Oh, that's right, because your people have a problem with actually surviving and thriving. So you have to, in a sense, darken it like vampires in order for you to be able to properly walk during the day. Gotcha. Because also they don't want it warming back up to what it originally was. Like I said, the universe and nature will do what it's normally supposed to do, regardless of whatever it is that man feels that they can do, or how much ever that certain men out here think that they are God and they can just push and pull and do whatever. Let me see. He said, Shirley said the story of Adam and Eve is about genetic engineering. Eve was a Nephilim / Neanderthal. I mean, I'll put it to you like this. I believe a lot of things. The one thing I keep having to tell people is that you got the book of Enoch, which was split from other books and kept directly separate. And it talks about a great deal of many of things there. But today we only learn about one book. And people feel that they have the full information on everything. Right. And the craziest part is I remember somebody stated that the reason that they separated and don't teach the book of Enoch was because it was too fantastical and people aren't going to believe it. But yet in this day and age, you got people that believe in superheroes. You got people believing in a variety of different things, right? Everybody's like, aliens exist, Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, all of these things that a lot of people have never seen before, but they believe it, right? So what would be so different about the book of Enoch? If you can literally sit up there and tell me that a man was on a cross and then, he was able to come back and walk again, I'm pretty sure that you should be able to teach any and everything that's in the book of Enoch as well, and give people that information. But again, like I said before, this is how a lot of stuff works. This is how a lot of stuff works. To be said, Bigfoot is a reach. That's hilarious. Lala said they say that Bigfoot is in Ohio chilling. Yeah, we got a lot of things directly out here. You got Wendigos, you got Bigfoot, La Chupacabra. You got a lot of stuff. You got the megalodon out there in the oceans. You got some dinosaurs still roaming the earth, existing somewhere. It's crazy work. It's crazy. But anyways, that is it for this live stream. We've been going for about a good 2 hours and 5 minutes. I am going to release you all back to your freedoms. So you guys can go out there and do what it is that you do every single day. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being here and taking out time. Again, you guys could have been anywhere else and you decided to stop by and be here with me. I appreciate that. Again, thank you guys for the comments and all the many conversations that y'all are having directly here. And again, for anybody that may have missed or don't want to sit through a whole 2 hours and 5 minutes, I will have this in a more simplistic manner by way of video later on today, where you'll just see the video straight through and just my little bit of commentary, and that is it. So you got two ways to, in a sense, watch it. So again, much love, respect, and appreciation to all of you guys for being here. Also, a major shout out to all of my mods here for all of the hard work, dedication, and energy you guys have always put directly into the live stream. Both my mods that are here and my mods that are not here. Special shout out to Sean from the Shy. Shout out to that lady there. Rest in peace as well. You will never be forgotten. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next video and or live stream. Peace out.